Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell by the title, today I want to do something a little different. I was thinking about doing some kind of like think piece, review, talk about subject type of video, and I've done those before in the past, but I feel like I want to do more. And I was on Absolute BL's Tumblr page, and I noticed they had all these different categories of information on shows, like reviews, explanation of tropes, answering questions, or thoughts and opinions on certain things. Excuse me. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through some of the content on this Tumblr page and kind of give my point of view, give my thoughts and feelings on it. And today we are starting with their synopsis of the friends to lovers tropes. Now, I do like the trope a lot. Actually, it's less agitating than the enemies to lovers, less agitating than bigoted parent or society trope, like all those other things that kind of have a more intense, heavy subject matter. This one's a little more calm, but it's also more complex, if that makes sense. And I want to get into some of the couples that they have listed here and get my thoughts and opinions on these couples from these shows that follow that go under these tropes. But I want you guys to also give your thoughts and opinions below on each of these couples if you can. If you haven't seen the show, it's fine. But whoever you've seen and whoever show you've seen, let me know your thoughts and opinions initially and also currently, because your thoughts may have changed through the years based on watching new shows and kind of having a different viewpoint of these. I'm very curious of how you guys feel. Okay, so let's get into what it says here about friends to lovers. It says, this trope tends to be rather soft and quiet, less dramatic than some of the others on this list, which is why it's often a B plot in boys' love. That's true. Sometimes it can be the main characters, the main couple, but lots of times it is, the secondary couple. They go on to say, I really happen to love it, but I understand the difficulty in scripting. I understand the difficulty in scripting for it. Conflict often has to come from the outside. Oh my God, that's so true. Which is harder to write than a lazy romance writers fall back on, which is miscommunication. When I tell you miscommunication or lack of communication in these series that drives the drama, the messiness, drives me up the wall. Oh my gosh. What's that show called? Sky in Your Heart? Star in My Mind? Oh my God, they took that to the extreme. Miscommunication and all this bullcrap, and that's all the tension that was brought on because of that. My goodness, it was so frustrating to watch. My God. This is also why I love it so much. It requires a certain amount of complexity and execution. I agree. I do agree with the synopsis of Friends to Lovers. I think people becoming lovers based on a meet cute is very common, obviously. But when it's like very antagonistic, especially in the boys' love shows, it's they're antagonistic for no reason, and I don't care for that. Like, I want you to have a reason to not like each other, but also, if that reason goes away, let's be cool. Let's be, friends. Let's be lovers. But yeah, let's start with our first couple. First we have up is A and Pete from Love by Chance. Let's see. In the beginning, I really did think they were very wholesome. A was definitely Captain Save-A-Ho. Not Captain Save-A-Ho, but you know what I mean? Like, he was very protective and coming to Pete's aid on the regular basis, especially when he had that whole ex-lover bully guy who that was intense. When he beat him up in that rain, my heart sank. My heart sank. But A was really there for him, really coming to his aid, being his good friend. So when they became lovers, it made so much sense. I just thought it was so precious and whatnot. I will say, there were some times where I kind of like was put off because like that one scene when A like jacked up P and slammed against the locker and they like I guess bust down in the locker room. I did not care for that. I know everyone was like, oh my gosh, yes, rough me up and like ooh. I didn't care for that. Like that whole overly aggressive, that was really a turn off, and like it just made me look at them sideways because I'm like, why'd y'all do this to this pair? Yeah, we know like A's has a little temper, but like he was always nice to homeboy. Like he wasn't doing all that. So like it's not making too much sense to me. I still like them. I just that just really got on my nerves. I was like, okay, we have to do all that. That made me uncomfortable. And I haven't seen Love by Chance 2. I know they're like broken up or something, but I have no thoughts on that because I haven't seen it and I don't care to see it. No shade, but okay. Next we have is solo and guitar from Oxygen the series. Okay, so Oxygen the series is one of the shows that I really, really like. I will say it is a boring series compared to like most shows you see during this time. This probably was the most boring. But I didn't care. I didn't care. I just find the characters very likable, so I just liked spending time with them and their like slice of life kind of vibe they had going on in this show. As far as this couple goes, one of my favorites in all of the boys love pairings, mostly because one, they became a couple rather quickly. I think maybe a few episodes in, 2 or 3 episodes in, they decided to be a couple. But then after that, they made it known they had so much love and conviction for each other that I think is rare to see. Like they didn't falter. Obviously, the friends, lovers, you have to have outside conflict, which they did, but that didn't stop them from staying together. Now, I'm not sure how believable that is. Nothing in these shows is believable, honestly speaking. So it's good to see a couple that's really like ride or die for each other. And I like the fact that they communicated their feelings often. They showed it physically. But the other thing they did, which I really love, is they kept their responsibilities on track. Like they had to finish school, work, whatever they had to do. Just because they were dating each other, they doesn't mean they stopped doing that. Yeah, they want to be each other, and sometimes their schooling or whatever they had going on kept them apart from each other. But it was like we were gonna rock with each other, but we need to get our education. We need to do this. And even when Solo's dad was like, "You got to finish," I forgot what he told them because he tried to break them up or something. Was it the dad who was like, you have to do this, you have to get your degree or something? They were like, okay, well, we're gonna get our degree, but we're gonna get our stuff together so we can stay together and be together. I forgot. I watched this a long time ago, but I love how they stayed true to each other and it was so refreshing to see. I just adore them. And every time he said guitar. Next we have is Corn and Nog from Together with Me. Okay, friends to lovers. Now, their romance was a bit more complex. It did mix in the whole like cheating trope in these shows, and the person who has a girlfriend who doesn't want to leave them because he feels overly obligated to them and doesn't want to hurt them, but also still cheat on her with your homeboy. This show was chaos. It was chaos, but I loved it. This show in particular really got me together because of how mature it came off. Because in this genre, especially early on, when like the characters would kiss, it'd be like a dead fish kiss, or they would censor it by doing an angle kiss or cutaway type of thing. This was the first one I seen that they really was making out. And on top of that, the actors, the characters came off a bit older than previous shows. They looked like they were like early 20s, maybe mid 20s. They also they didn't fit their builds and their aesthetic looked similar to each other. It wasn't like one was like more twink like and one was more, taller and more, built. We had two built guys and they were both, kind of the same vibe and they were, a pair. Now, the whole cheating thing, he was wrong for that on Plum Playing. Yeah, she became like the enemy at the end. Wait, is that her name? Plum Playing? It was something like that. She became like the villain at the end, but she she didn't deserve what he did to her. She like you know what I mean? Like yeah, she was like evil at the end, but like he was out here. He also disrespected her. I think the making her like a villain and an antagonist to them throughout the show makes you think you want to root for them to be together, but he was wrong too. Unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbles. But I do love the fact that one half of the couple identify as queer, had an ex boyfriend, dealt with discrimination from the family, the sister. Like it gave more nuance. It felt less like for women by women vibe, even though it did feel that way at certain points. But it felt more queer than other shows in this genre, and I do appreciate that. Next, we have is Tea Infused from Make It Right. Now, Make It Right is one of the earlier shows I watched when I first started watching shows in this genre, and I watched it 3 times, I believe. I was like obsessed with this show. This one and Lovesick. In my opinion, both shows aren't great series. I know. They aren't great series. Very juvenile. Sometimes the acting is very crunchy, crunch, but I feel I have such an attachment to them, a nostalgic attachment to them that I think they're still amazing despite all that. Even seeing these two in Tarntine, not Tarntine, what's that show called? Why Are You? Oh my God, Tarntine. Because Tarntine wasn't Why Are You. Seeing them in Why Are You, I was shaking and stir, and they recreated one of their most iconic scenes. Shook. This pair is complicated. They're one of the couples that, early on that didn't become a couple until the very end. It was like 2 seasons of the show, and they didn't become a couple till the very end of the second season. Like, excuse me. And their start was very troublesome. We had I can't remember who was who. Who's Fuse? Who's T? Fuse. Okay, that's Fuse and that's T. Okay. So having Fuse have his girlfriend, if I'm wrong, let me know. I think I'm wrong, but I could be right. Having Fuse's girlfriend be the one who cheated on him, but he thought she cheated on him, and she was like, no, that's my brother. He felt bad, so he decided to stay with her, even though he bust down his homeboy before, and he continues to bust him down. He still want to be with her because he don't want to hurt her feelings, which I'm like, I don't care for that kind of trope. Like, why are you being with this girl and you cheat on her? But you still want to be with him. You still got him on your side. And why are you still on his side? He had a whole girlfriend, and you're the side chick, the side dude. I didn't care for that. And also, when they did bust down, homeboy was drunk, and T was very much, you know, in the wrong for that. But I did like the fact that they showed him very, very remorseful for his actions. It wasn't like oh well, get over it. He really felt bad and really wanted to make it right. Oh, make it right. That was an accident. I didn't mean to say that, but he wanted to make it right, which I appreciate. And they got really annoying in season 2 because they decided not to bust down no more, but then they couldn't keep away from each other, and I was like, oh my gosh, are y'all gonna do this or not? Are y'all gonna be together or not? Like, leave her, even though we found out that she was playing him from the beginning, but it was just so messy. But I still have this appreciation for them because it was just the earlier, and I just at the time you're like rooting for them, and like you're falling for all the cliches, and you're like, and it was like giddy. I don't know. It's not a great show. It's not, but like I feel such attachment to it that I just have to give it its praise, give it its flowers. If you know what I mean. Like I have to give it, give it its flowers. Next we have is Ram and King from My Engineer. This also is under the secret love trope. Ram and King. Okay, My Engineer was crunchy. I had a good time reacting to it. When I reacted to it, it was so fun. But looking back on it, it just wasn't a good cohesive series in my opinion as far as storylines go. This pair, they're the definition of having nothing going on with an actual couple until the end, because we had them hang out with each other multiple episodes, and one wasn't talking to the other because he was, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he wanted to talk to him, and he kept bothering him even though he wasn't responding. It was a lot of that, and I don't know if that's supposed to be like romantic or cute or something, but it really gave nothing, just padding the episode with that. And then we had, I can't remember who's who, I forgot. I think Ram is the one who had his daddy bust out his best friend neighbor and played his mom. That plot point potentially could have been something very strong. I really like that they implemented that in the show, but they didn't go anywhere with it further. I would have had him kind of maybe know that his dad's cheating on his mom and maybe he can't figure it out, but King comes in to help him and be there for him in that way. even though it kind of was set up that way, because when Ram left home, he randomly left home because he found out, but he didn't tell his mom. He just left and was crying in the rain, and he stayed with King. It would have made more sense he would stay with his best friends because the friendship group in this show was so strong. It would have made more sense for him to stay with his homeboy rather than him. They haven't been friends that long and barely communicated really. You know what I mean? So it didn't make sense for them. But if he was more implemented in a way where he was helping him out, doing things or trying to figure things out, his bond with him could have grown for it to make sense for him to stay with him when he eventually left home. You know what I mean? And because that didn't happen, I was like, this is weird that they're. I know that they're paired up together, but there was no real connection beforehand besides them just being around each other during the school day multiple times. You know what I mean? So I didn't really live for them. And then when they like kiss at the end and they 10, I was like, this came out of nowhere. There was no build up. Like we knew they were like kind of like feeling each other in a way, I guess, but it was such a minor vibe that it didn't wasn't impactful for me. But let me know what you guys think. I don't dislike them. They just weren't giving what people think they gave. Okay, last but not least, we have Kai in third from Theory of Love. I really, really, really like Theory of Love. Now, I've only seen it once. I'm debating on reacting to it on here on YouTube, just to see it again and get my thoughts on it for real. Because when I first watched it, I watched it on my own, and I thought it was so great. I really liked it. I was like, okay, this is giving what I need to give. It's giving more storylines. It's giving complex characters. They actually have something to do. They have this cinematography club, and they making movies, and it's just it gave more life, more world building. You know, more time with other characters, and I really appreciate it. Now, as far as his couples go, third, he was down bad for Kai. He was, and the fact that they spent time with him chasing him and he didn't, it was like unrequited, and then they switched around and it became like that with the other way around. I will admit it was kind of exhausting, but like I said, they have different characters to follow, second, third couples in the show, and things for them to do outside of the relationship. So it made it tolerable. Now I didn't hate it that they did that, but it wasn't the most joyous thing, joyous. Oh my god, enjoyable thing about it. So I was kind of like, you chase him, he wants you now. You want to chase him, but he don't want you. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Especially because they spent episodes for each pair to do that thing. So it's like, okay. But I do like the show. I like these characters. The acting was very good. Like, Off and Gun really came back with a good series. I mean, I like more shows they've done together after this than this. But based on the previous material they did, which was Honey Puppy, it's a step up. From the acting and the characters, it's a step up. It sure is. It sure is. Okay, so let me know your thoughts and opinions on all these pairs below. If you guys want me to do a second video on the enemies to lovers, because I know you guys love that trope, let me know below. And let me know your favorite enemies to lovers couples, and maybe I will review those in the next video. If you enjoyed this, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.